Hello and welcome to this tutorial series. In this tutorial series we take a look on the simple inventory system, which includes also the character stats and the character preview here. So when we pick up these items here, we can see them in the inventory like that. We can use the items, for example this apple or this bread here, to restore some health or some food. And we can of course wear the clothing on the character. So let's go. In this part we will create the character preview and some clothing. For that, let's create another structure. So right click, blueprint structure, and let's call this character underscore structure. Open this up. Let's start with the chest. This is an item structure that we created. Let's create, for example, the hands as well and the legs. Of course, you can create whatever you want. So let's save this and open up our instance here. Then we create a new variable called character. This will be a character structure. And when we compile and save this, you can see we have the chest, the hands, and the legs. So let's fill this informations. So I skip the process. Be sure that you set the name to basic. We will use this later. So we can close the instance and open up our third-person character again. Go to the viewport, and now we need another component. We need the capture component 2D. Let's call this capture. And let's place this right here. Like that. Then we go to our HUD here. We go right click and search for render target. This will be the capture. Open this up. Let's set the size to 1080 and 1920. Then let's go back to the third-person character here. And here we have the texture target, and we select our capture here. And when we compile and save this, you can see we have now the capture of our character here. So we can play around with it, make it closer, like that. Great. Next, we go to the event graph. Go to the begin play event here. Let's pull this out a little bit. And be sure that you take out the capture. Get the reference to self. And then we say show only actor components. And we put the self to the in actor. And that's it. Compile and save this. Next, we go back to our level here. We can close everything. Go right click on our capture and say create material. Open this up as well. Pull this out here. We select our capture material. Put the surface domain to use interface. And put the blend mode to translucent. Connect the final color here. Go from the A and say 1 minus. And connect it with the opacity. Apply and save this one. Next, I prepared a widget again, which is called character. This has a size box of 600 and 600. We have a horizontal box. We have a vertical box for the images, for the preview. This is just an image, chest, hands, and legs. And then we have the preview. All of them are variables, very important. And for the preview, we will just set our capture material. Then we go to the event graph here, and we will add a custom event called load images. We start with the get game instance. Calls to our instance. get the character, right click, split structure pin. We take out the chest, the hands and the legs. Set the brush from texture. Break the item structure here. Do this for all of them. Like that. And then we just connect the image. Like that. Compile and save this. Next, we open up our game instance again, and we need a new function called load character. We get the player pawn, we cast to our third person character. We take out the character variable, right click, split structure pin. And then we get the chest, this one here, as well as the hands and the legs. From the character, we break the item structure in all cases. And from the chest, we want to set the skeletal mesh asset as well again for all of them. And then we just set the mesh to the new mesh. Then we go back to our level here. Open up the HUD again and add our character widget here, just to the canvas panel. We add the anchor in the right upper corner, put the size to 600 and 600, and place it right here. Compile and save this, go back to our instance, go from the third person character here, get the inventory widget, get the character, in this case the widget, and load the images, so the function that we created. The last part is of course to create some clothing, so we have our parent class item here, right click, create child group and class, and let's call this jacket for example, open this up, and then we just fill out the informations. Jacket. I already prepared an image for the jacket. The weight will be, let's say, 2. The amount is 1. The category is clothing. The chest, this one here. And the actor is the jacket. Then we have to set the skeleton mesh as well. And then we just go to the event graph. We can delete everything inside here. Go to override, use item, delete this again. Then we get the game instance again, cast to our instance, get the character, right click, split structure pin. Since this is a jacket, of course, we will go to the character chest and say right click, split structure pin again. Then we go from the name and say to string as a text. From there we say equal exactly. And here we type in basic. Be sure that you write it exactly how you write it in the instance. We need a branch to ask. On false, we want to spawn an actor from class and connect the actor here. We go from the spawn transform and say promote to variable and keep it like this. Then we want to interact. We want to get the item itself. Then we go from the instance again and want to set the character as well on true and as well on false down here. Right click, split structure pin. We connect the item with the chest. And then we just connect the hands down here to the hands and the legs to the legs. Then again, we go from our instance and want to call the reduce item function. Connect the index back to the index here. Again, from the instance, go back to here and say load character. And at the end, we want to destroy the actor. So what we do here when we use the item, in this case some clothing, we check if we already wear some clothes, where we check for the basic. Basic means we don't have any clothing. On true, we just want to set it, in this case the chest. So we wear the jacket at the end. If we already have a jacket, so on false in this case, we want to spawn the item. We interact with it, so we get it back in our inventory. And we set the new item, in this case the new jacket, to the character, so we wear it. So I skipped the process and created some other clothing, a jeans, a smoking. Of course, when you have the jeans, be sure that you set everything to the legs in this case and set the character, of course, here, character items, the legs in this case for the item. And also be sure that you set the collision of the skeletal mesh to generate hit events and block all dynamic. We can close everything and place them inside the world. For the jacket, the jeans, and the smoking. Alright, let's see if this works. We hit play. We pick up the clothing here. Press I, where we have the character preview, as you can see. When we click on the jacket, we wear the jacket. We can wear the jeans, and we can switch the smoking and the jacket. Great! So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know, and yeah, goodbye.